Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you for your attendance at this press conference, which has been called to mark the official signing of a development agreement between the Cayman Islands government and Beach Bay Land Limited. To mark this occasion, on the head table we have Honorable Alden McLaughlin, Premier of the Cayman Islands and Minister of Home Affairs, Health and Culture, Honorable Moses Kekernel, Deputy Premier and Minister for District Administration, Tourism and Transport, Mr. Joseph Hugh, Councillor for Tourism, and Mr. John David Layton, the Principal and Managing Director of Beach Bay Land Limited. I'd also like to acknowledge in the audience Minister of Community Affairs, Youth and Sports, Mr. Osborne Bodden, Mr. Alba Saku, Member of the Legislative Assembly, and Ms. Rosa Harris, Director of Tourism. I'd like to give regrets for Minister Patton. He's on official leave, and Mr. Anthony Eden also asked me to express his regrets. I would now invite the Honorable Premier, and sorry, Minister Tibbetts is also with us in the audience today. Honorable Premier, I would now invite you to bring your remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Borden. Thank you all for joining us. Today is a momentous day for Bordentown and the Eastern Districts and for Cayman as a whole. As Mr. Borden said, we are here for the signing of an agreement between the government of the Cayman Islands and Beach Bay Land Limited to begin the construction of an internationally branded hotel and condominium development. It has been a long and difficult road we've traveled over the course of the past 2 years, and there have indeed been intense negotiations about how the project is structured. I want to congratulate the Minister for Planning, Lands and Administration, Lands, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure, the Honorable Kurt Tibbetts, and his team for shepherding this project through, as well as the Deputy Premier and Minister for District Administration, Tourism and Transport, the Honorable Moses Kekernel, and his crew. I also wish to acknowledge with appreciation the involvement of the Progressives, Bordentown members of the Legislative Assembly, who helped move this project along. Thank you, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Anthony Eden, who unfortunately could not be here. Financial Services, Commerce and Environment Minister, Honorable Wayne Panton, who also is not here today. Community Affairs, Youth and Sports Minister, the Honorable Osborne Bodden, and Councillor Alba Saku, for all your work and support on this so important project for Bordentown. I believe it is safe to say that the improvement of Cayman's economy and the rebuilt confidence in government and country under the watch of this administration has been the impetus for J.D. Layton and his team to invest in the Cayman Islands. But I'm sure he'll tell you more about that when he speaks. The Progressives-led government is devoted to the development of our country's high-end tourism product. This project is just another way that we are able to promote and encourage the growth and tourism in this paradise we call home. We recognize and acknowledge that all our districts have to be part of a sustainable development that epitomizes the economic future of the Cayman Islands. This development is going to be one of the largest of its kind east of 7 Mile Beach, for which the Cayman Islands is already popular. With this development, our tourists will be able to experience a new and vibrant part of Grand Cayman. But more importantly, this project is going to mean jobs, not just for the initial construction of this 5-star hotel at St. James Point in the district of Bordentown, but for the positions that will be needed to staff it once it is open. This is the first major hotel and condo development for Bordentown, helping us fill out needed hotel room stock, giving our visitors a tranquil experience away from the hustle and bustle of Georgetown and 7 Mile Beach. Employment in Bordentown has been bolstered recently by the opening of Cox Lumber Store and other boutique shops and entrepreneurial ventures. This new hotel is further evidence that this administration is working diligently to bring jobs to the Cayman Islands and to the people who live in and around the district of Bordentown. We're happy that we have found willing private sector groups to work with us. To help this project move along, zoning changes have been made from low-density residential to hotel tourism to help move along the hotel development. The concessions government has made include duty waivers on construction material and on furniture and fixtures for the construction of the development, stamp duty for land purchased for the construction of the development, and on non-consumable material for startup of the facility. There will be no concessions on consumables or materials after the facility is in operation, as we want to encourage these to be purchased locally. Concessions are capped at 12.5% of the $200 million expected cost to build the development. Government will be giving up potential income of about $25 million to help ensure that the hotel and condo project gets built. However, government will receive income for decades into the future from hotel room tax, visitor spend, duty from the sale of the condos, and more. Equally important is the added economic benefit from the jobs that will be created directly and indirectly by this project. It is estimated to increase the island's gross domestic product by nearly 2%. The agreement calls for plans to be submitted within a year, but it is anticipated that work will commence next year. As part of our agreement with Beach Bay Land, it will train and employ as many Caymanians as possible as part of the development's workforce. This is going to happen during the construction and operation of the development. We also have the company's word that it will use local contractors and local service providers. Again, this government has made a commitment to the country and is living up to that now, to bring development and jobs to all parts of the Cayman Islands and to further bolster the economy and help our people. We started out with a plan to grow the economy, to restore confidence, and to attract new investment and development. Today's signing is a testament to our ability to uphold our promises. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. I would now invite the Honorable Deputy Premier to give his remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Bodden. A very pleasant good morning to each of you here, and thank you very much for joining us today. I'm especially pleased that just 12 days after the groundbreaking at the Owen Roberts International Airport, we're once again marking another important milestone for our tourism industry. The signing of this agreement signals the start of Phase 1 of a new tourism development that will greatly enhance the country's tourism product. When constructed, it will feature an internationally branded 5-star hotel, luxury condominiums, restaurants, retail outlets, spa, and other commercial amenities. Once opened, this development will add to the 5,200 rooms currently available across our islands for the enjoyment of guests who vacation with us here. To date, almost $50 million has been spent securing and improving the development site. An additional outlay of 200 million CI dollars is planned to be invested in Phase 1. And thereafter, investment continues with the following phases. Inward investment on this scale is encouraging news because it tells us that financiers and stakeholders have confidence that their investment in the Cayman Islands will yield solid returns for generations. It also reaffirms our standing as having one of the fastest growing and strongest economies in the Caribbean region. To those who are following this broadcast on TV and by radio, particularly the audiences in Bodden Town, who may be thinking, this is well and good, but how is this going to impact me? I'd like to respond by saying, first and foremost, that this new development will create over 1,000 jobs. These jobs are meant for Caymanians, and they're meant along the full spectrum of development, from over 750 jobs in the construction field. As it is built in phases, you'll also need hundreds to run the hotel and the condos when they're completed in the day-to-day operations. It will improve the job market for our friends and family in the Bodden Town community. It will create a demand for tour operators, rental cars, taxis, restaurants, tourism attractions, just to name a few. As Premier has said, the development and the opening of this buoys the whole country as it produces and involves more people in the tourism industry. It'll bring about opportunities for young people who are thinking about careers in the hospitality industry. And it will provide avenues for further advancement to the men and women that are currently investing their time and effort to become qualified through the hospitality school. There is no question that the tourism industry is an important and growing contributor to our economy. This is why tremendous effort is being placed on ensuring that our infrastructure, like the Owen Roberts Airport, is expanded to meet current and future demand. Airlift is increasing with new services and gateways coming on stream by year end. The hospitality school is in place to address the challenges surrounding job opportunities and skills development to ensure that Caymanians are featured front and center at the heart of all we do. And as I always like to say, they are our competitive edge in the tourism market. With the assistance of Minister Tibbetts, Councillor Hugh, colleagues in caucus and cabinet, and the staff of my ministry, we are working hard to ensure that the tourism industry functions as a catalyst for development and a driver for business opportunity. The signing of this agreement is just one example of how deliberate planning and positive collaboration between this government and the private sector will achieve those outcomes. There can be no question that sustainable development within each district of these islands is the best case scenario for solidifying the economic future of our country. I and the Boddentown elected representatives, Deputy Speaker, Mr. Eden, Ministers Bodden and Panton, Councillor Saku, therefore very pleased that this development, St. James Point in Beach Bay, will break ground in their district of Boddentown. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. John David Layton and his team for choosing to invest in Cayman and for his willingness to work with government and the people of these islands to bring about a truly exciting and mutually beneficial opportunity for all of us. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Premier. And now I invite Mr. John David Layton to bring his remarks.
Good morning, everyone. With protocol having already been established, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us. We applaud the PPM-led Cayman government for signing this agreement with us today and look forward to a successful partnership with the Cayman Islands, its government, its people, and the many visitors that come to the islands to experience Cayman kind. Today's milestone brings us closer to realizing this project and to meeting our commitments to the people of Cayman and especially the eastern districts. This project will act as a catalyst in the development of the district of Boddentown while offering an alternative to 7 Mile Beach. Our vision, implemented on a site with a spectacular beach, secluded location, superior infrastructure, airlift, and natural beauty, provides everything necessary from a location for us to compete successfully. Those site attributes, coupled with the warmth, friendliness, and attention to service of the Caymanian people, will enable us to compete across the Western Hemisphere and for this resort to become a Caribbean icon. To achieve that goal, the development team envisions a 200-room hotel along with 75 residential units at St. James Point, managed by a constellation of world-renowned brands offering multiple signature restaurants, innovative retail, luxury spa experiences, as well as new frontiers for water sports activities. As guests of the Cayman Islands, we approach our effort here proactively and collaboratively to inform and engage local communities and stakeholders and to seek their input. Our commitment to environmentally responsible practices and to working with the Cayman Islands Department of Environment and other relevant departments starts today. And we will continue throughout the design, development, construction, and operational phases of our projects. As government has pointed out, St. James Point will create over 1,000 jobs, including 750 during the construction, phase supported by local suppliers and partners. Over 325 permanent hospitality jobs will be created as the project opens. The resort will also require local business partners in the form of water sports, dive operators, retail operators, spa, and local excursion transportation, and a variety of complementary services to enhance the guest experience. The developer is committed to providing training and internship opportunity for Caymanians. Many more jobs will be created through increased demand from allied vendors and businesses as well. We are committed to providing employment for Caymanians and ensuring the project provides real financial benefit to the Cayman economy and Cayman-owned businesses. Please allow me once again to thank the Premier and his government and the Boddentown Steering Committee for the support they have given to this project. I look forward to continuing to work with them and the people of the Cayman Islands, the Eastern Districts, and Boddentown in particular, to develop what we believe will become among the iconic resorts of the Americas, one that will keep the Cayman Islands in its enviable position as a leader in Caribbean tourism and the hospitality market. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Layton. I would now invite the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Samuel Rose, and Mr. Layton to proceed with the signing of the development agreement.
Yep, it's working. Should I take this one out too? Should I put the date on it too? Sure. 24.
Thanks. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Sorry.
Having executed the signing, I would now open the floor for questions from the media.
Hello there, Joe Avery, Cayman 27. Mr. Premier, your first remarks alluded to the long and difficult road that you guys traipsed to get to this point today. What was the biggest struggle to get this to this point today that you had to overcome?
Well, the greatest challenge, quite frankly, has been the precedent that was set by the last administration with respect to concessions. And that created a certain level of expectations which had to be managed.
How do you break through? How do you break through that when there's precedent set like that? When a government is given away the farm to bring things here. How do you guys break that mold and get the developers to, play more fairly?
Well, we were lucky in this case, I think, to have developers who were prepared to be reasonable and to understand that we couldn't continue down that particular road, particularly with respect to tourism developments. The room tax issue is one that has the capacity. I mean, if you wind up waiving or making concessions on room tax, you skew the market and you create real issues for competition. And but once we were able to reach that level of understanding, we were able to, as you say, break through and get to where we are. And we were determined not to wind up with a whole long list of very complicated concessions and so forth. So in the end, what we came to was 12.5% of the maximum development cost of $200 million for phase one. That's relatively easy for everyone to understand and to apply.
Mr. Layton, could you just let us know what the sort of order of play is? I mean, what's happening first? What are we likely to see in what time scale?
You're likely to see in the next several months a full-on design submissions with a phased submission plan in order to be able to undertake an early start on the foundation, and then as we get successive approvals through construction drawings, et cetera, to bring up the superstructure, work on systems, finishes, so that the approval process will not be in one bulk application, but in several small applications to allow us to progress the project in the same way through the planning department as the way we're going to progress it through construction.
And do you know at this point the number of hotel rooms, number of condo rooms, and the size of the hotel in terms of stories, things like that?
We intend to use the entire zoning envelope allowed to us per planning regulations. We also will have at least 200 hotel rooms, and we intend to have 75 for-sale condominium units.
And that's all in the first 200 million development?
Yes.
Any idea when you expect to open the hotel?
I would say somewhere around 2 years from, 2.5 years from this fall. I mean, from this winter.
Okay, thanks.
The Premier, you said that for as many Caymanians as possible in respect to employment, and the Deputy Premier also said the jobs are meant for Caymanians. Doesn't seem to be any true commitment legally in respect to making sure that Caymanians get the job opportunities here. Is there something that is binding contractually to make sure that Caymanians get employment, or is this just sound bites? Because
Perhaps you should have a look at the agreement.
has it been released?
It's just been signed. But I referred to what it said when I spoke. And yes, the commitment is legal and binding, and it's an expectation on the part of the government that Beach Bay will use its very best endeavors through the various means we have to ensure that Caymanians who are willing and able to do the jobs get that opportunity. Of course, that is the law of the land in any respect, with or without something being written into an agreement. The whole premise of the immigration law and the system we have is that permits are not granted to persons where there are Caymanians willing and able to do those jobs. So the contractual provision is simply reinforcement of what is already the legal situation in Cayman.
Well, Premier, in all due respect, we can already admit that we're having a major problem in respect to Caymanians getting work now with the current system that we have. And if that statement that you just made in respect to the contractual agreement is as open-winded as that, then I'm quite sure persons for their own interest can find loopholes in it to make sure Caymanians don't get the benefits. I mean, a simple making sure that Caymanians, many possible as possible, get the jobs just doesn't seem to be any true commitment, rather than saying a Caymanian has, a certain percentage of Caymanian has to be employed on a job. Also, the continuation after the hotel is built, I understood it was 350 jobs available within the hotel. Is there any contractual commitment from Caymanians being employed there? We've had past experiences with the Ritz-Carlton Hotel where there was previous statements saying that they were going to hire Caymanians, and we still see a very high percentage of non-Caymanians working there. Can you address that point?
Well, I really can't say any more than I've already said. I said there's a provision in the contract, and the law of the land is what it is. The issue always is about enforcement, and that is where we struggle. We've struggled as long as I can recall to get this balance right, making sure that we give developments, businesses, adequate qualified labor to be able to operate, while at the same time ensuring that Caymanians who are willing and able to do those jobs get those jobs. It is a struggle Cayman has always had, and we still have. As I said, this is one of the few agreements that I've ever seen where we've actually written it into the agreement to try to reinforce and underline and underpin what is already the legal position with respect to employment of local people as opposed to persons on work permits.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Question for the developer. First, I want to say thank you so much for choosing the Cayman Islands as your destination to help our economy grow. It is very important to the people of the Cayman Islands that economic development continues, and I appreciate on behalf of the Cayman people for you to do that. That being said, can you tell the listening audience and the press when this first idea was started?
Approximately 2008.
2008. So you've worked with other administrations in regards to possible ideas and development and so forth?
Yes.
Okay. In respect to that commitment for employment for Caymanians, would you be willing to give any commitments today in respect to trying to make sure that Caymanians are the first priority here?
What I can tell you is I've come from other localities where similar employment objectives have occurred. And so in New York City, for instance, where you have minority and women business enterprise initiatives. And we've been very successful in other jurisdictions achieving employment goals that are similar to the ones we set out in the agreement. And I believe that we will have similar success. These things don't happen by accident. They take work, they take focus, they take commitment on the part of the developer and the government. And our working together will accomplish, I'm pretty sure, the goals we set out in our agreement.
Thank you very much, sir.
Kenneth, I'd like to add to that before you finish with your questioning. I think that if you look back at the negotiations, and it was mentioned that it took us a period of time to complete the negotiations, the spirit of the negotiations was that the developers wanted to hire Caymanians and wanted to make sure that the country itself would benefit, because if the country doesn't benefit, they're not going to be successful. So as Mr. Layton has said, it was a negotiation between two willing parties. When we looked at the tourism tax as an issue, and the understanding was that that tax, what it's used for with the people, when we explained to him and showed him that we'd opened a hospitality school, and he made a commitment that he would like to be involved with that from the standpoint of visits, participation, commitment to hiring people as they come out, I have to say that the spirit of how we move forward and how this opportunity not only benefits Baden Town and the Eastern District, but benefits the country as a whole, I think you're going to be very pleased as you see it unfold.
Good morning, gentlemen. I've got a couple of questions, so whoever would like to answer them. The first question is, can you give us a comparison with this concessions package with, for example, the DART concession or any other, so we can see where it stands up? The man in the street. That was question one. The second question, I think, will probably be for Mr. Layton. The Premier spoke about sustainable development, so I would be very interested if you could tell us what's sustainable about the resort, like the green issues, or what makes it a sustainable development, and also what when you plan to do an environmental impact assessment and all that, the issues regarding the environment, obviously. And thirdly, the road. Who's taking responsibility for the new road that would link, I understand, to Mance Road? There were plans for that. Am I correct? I can see Minister Bodden nodding his head, so I think he knows what I'm talking about. So those are my questions. Thank you, gentlemen.
Wendy, ask the first question again. Let me take a stab at that for you.
It was, give us a comparison for the concessions package to another development. So either the DART one, for example, or any other, so that the people can understand it more realistically.
Okay. Let me compare it to the concessions and the development of a property, a 5-star flag on 7 Mile Beach. We looked at it and we said, for them to do this off 7 Mile Beach, they would need a good working relationship with the government to understand what concessions would make them successful. Because if we didn't come into a partnership arrangement with them, that they, as a developer, felt they were going to have the ability to be successful, then it was not going to work for anybody, not the country and not them. We took it one step farther and had actual meetings with some of the brands that they want to consider. We had meetings with airlines who they were considering partnering with to bring more tourists to the island that would benefit from the brand they settle on. So I think that, you know, the comparison is that the concessions were tailor-made for them with the knowledge that it was being done in Boddentown, and that we wanted to work as a team to make sure they were successful and the Caymanian people got the most benefit out of it.
Do you want me to remind you of the other questions?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I was actually looking for more of a sort of figure. I get what
We
you're saying.
don't-
It's a tailor-made
we
package.
don't-
But if
we-
this is 12%, what was DART?
200 million.
If
Well,
this is 25 million, what was DART?
yeah, I mean, we don't have those figures, which is why I'm sort of hedging here, because I don't want to say something and then it's proven not to be the case. But the DART deal was not based on particular percentage of the overall capital cost of the development, but a whole laundry list of areas where concessions were granted. So if you want that, we can get the comparison done and send it off to you.
No, I get it. It's not
Yeah,
easy to compare.
yeah.
I've got that message. But so the other questions was about the road. Who's going to be responsible for the road that I presume will link the resort to Mance Road?
Well,
Whether it's government or the developer.
I'll let David speak to it from his end, but from our end, what they have agreed to do is to build the road through their property to where it joins, to the extreme of their property. And then what government has agreed to do is to pick up from there and push it through to Mance Road so that we have the connection all the way through. But the bit that goes through their property, they'll build at their cost.
Okay, thank
And
you, Lynn.
The final one was about the environmental issues, like when the EIA will done and what makes the resort sustainable.
Well, it's a compound question, so let me answer that in parts. First part is that the EIA will go in contemporaneously with the first submission of construction drawings. The second part of it is that it's a very exciting time now in the building technologies industries where there are literally hundreds of opportunities for improvement that I see from the beginning of my career in development. Things like logic systems running elevators to keep them both cool so you don't need to air-condition machine rooms, and efficient in the way they collect passengers because of the algorithms and so on in their equipment, all the way down to using seawater for cooling systems and so on. So there is a large laundry list of initiatives that we are going to undertake to make this project sustainable, and part of the sustainability is an economic sustainability. so that we are not dependent as much on fossil fuels. We're not dependent as much on air conditioning through passive cooling, through the correct alignment of our buildings, through studying the sun pass and the sun loads, the heat loads, using insulation, and all of the appropriate things that are proven technologies, along with many of the new and innovative things that are arising now. So it's pretty exciting for us because for the first time in many years, there's a host of technological advances with regard to sustainability that exist that even 5 years ago weren't contemplatable.
I had one more question, if that's okay, for Mr. Layton. In respect to the development, we have a lot of smaller contractors here. Have you made any communications in respect to trying to make sure that some of those smaller Cayman contractors get some of the work? I know usually you have one major contractor and then some of the work is subbed out. So everybody kind of gets a piece of the pie. But obviously the top priority would be for the developer is making sure it's cost effective for you. But is in respect to trying to maintain that Caymanians get the best benefit out of it, is there any systems or plans that you are initiating to make sure that it's spread kind of evenly and not over to one major contractor? Any kind of discussions that the people can get excited about, maybe a contractor who is listening who can say, you know, I can get some work out of that major development?
Well, you will find us easy to access, and there will be a sign-up on our website that will allow these people to contact us directly. And when I say contact us directly, we are a very flat organization, so there's not going to be many layers of people to get through to accomplish that. And previously, we have had several meetings and events in the Bodentown district and elsewhere where we have discussed our intentions, and we've made it clear to local contractors, not the big GCs, and we've collected names, cards, qualifications, et cetera, months ago for these events, and I think that both of the Bodentown MLA present were also present at most of those events, so they're aware of us soliciting that exact information for quite some time now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending the press conference today. I would now welcome the Bodentown MLAs in the audience on the platform for a photo opportunity.
You must have stood right about it, told us what to do.
You're supposed to look happy, you know.